Welcome, everybody, to the Beacon of Light podcast this evening. And tonight we have an incredible story made by an incredible author named Elizabeth Billingsley. And before we jump into that, let's jump into this.
I'm April Tribe Juke. Welcome to the Beacon of Light podcast. I believe we are all made with light, and light is hope. This podcast brings authors who write stories of hope to all of you. Your journey to be inspired and amplified by these stories starts now.
And we're back. So, hello, everybody, and welcome this evening. I know Miss Elizabeth through other types of connections and writings and other biddies and all of those fun things. So, Elizabeth, tell the audience tonight a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, by day, I am a public health nurse. And then in my other, my spare time, my hobby time, it's more than a hobby. It's more of a calling now. I am a writer. I blog at my website, which is there, I think, scrolling across the bottom. And I've also written 2 books. One of them is a personal story about myself and my late husband. And the other one is the story that you see there scrolling across the bottom that we're going to talk about tonight. It is my fantasy allegory. So 2 different genres. And I hope you'll check them out. They're both at my website after we, chat tonight. And it's good to see everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Miss Elizabeth. And so you can see she's very diverse in her writing. But I have to say, how many of you read the blog out there? So incredible, really awesome, because it's such a fun little story. So if those of you who haven't read the blog yet, why don't you share a little bit about how this whole story even came about?
Okay. This story actually started as a very short story for my English. It was an advanced English comp class my senior year in high school. So I wasn't even in college yet. And I just wanted to write a fantasy story, kind of based it on allegory. I love C.S. Lewis. I loved his entire Chronicles of Narnia. I had read them all by then, and I've reread them actually, but that's beside the point. So I just wanted to do a little short story and turn it in. We had an extra grade we needed, so I turned it in and I got an A, and I thought that was it. Basically. So, I've kept it all these years, and I rediscovered it cleaning out my closet in 2019. And I literally sat down right there in the middle of my walk-in closet and I reread it. And the writing was fading, the paper was yellowing. But it meant so much more to me in that time. I'd passed through some very, very traumatic things, very, very sad things. And in that moment, it became a story of redemption for me. And so I realized what I had. So I decided that I was going to take it, make an electronic copy of it and see what else I could do with it, build it and publish it. I'd already published 1 book, my personal story. And so I wanted to publish this story. And I honestly, when I wrote it, when I was 18, I never thought I would publish it. So that's it in the nutshell for those of you that didn't read the blog.
It's really incredible that, and you and I discussed this off camera. So now it's time to bring it back to our audience here tonight.
Yeah.
Thinking about how, as believers, many people believe and understand that God knows the beginning to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we all fit within that beginning and end? And this time is a time that we are brought here to be tested, to understand, who's on the Lord's side, right? What are we going to do? How are we going to pick things? And we have some time within our lifetime to make these choices, to fade away, to come back, to stay valiant the whole time. There's so many different choices. So a loving Heavenly Father looks at all of us and knows our hearts, knows our spirits, knows everything. about us. And we're in this world having different experiences and opportunities and different ways and paths to kind of be tested to know, I wonder which way they'll choose. And as a parent, I look at my kids often and think, I want they know truth. They've been brought up with, good values and
Mhm.
the gospel rock. I wonder how they're going to choose.
Mhm.
There's many times where I'm like, don't okay, well, back it up and try again. But that agency to make those choices and us
Mhm.
behind showing that love as well as letting go, right?
Yeah.
There's parts of all of that. I am getting to a point. Well, his heavenly Father, as He looks at us and knows our weaknesses and our strengths, and we have many opportunities within our life to know how to experience things. Thinking about how you wrote that story, got your grade, yay, close up, put it away, and all these years later, be a place of redemption. How do you think all of that came about?
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question. um, I think it came about because I was ready for it too. Um, like you were talking about, you're raised in truth, you know what's right. Well, I'm just going to be honest. I had not always followed the truth. Um, I kind of followed my own way in many ways. And I actually tried to mix that with truth and make that work out. Well, that created a lot of opportunities for bad decisions. And so I made bad decisions and I encountered some things, some of them, because of me, my fault. Some of them were things other people did. And so by the time I found this story again, I was in the midst of significant healing that had been taking place for about 9 months. And so when I found the story again, it clicked that this was about a God who never gives up on us, a God who always chases us no matter what our choices are. It clicked. And so I wanted to do something with that was a little bit better than just getting an A and putting it in a binder. I wanted to share that story with other people in a way that would be interesting, and fun, not like a self-help book. I wanted to share the gospel in a way that would be not just helpful, but relevant and interesting. So that's how I got to that part from right after from senior year to 2019. So
Fantastic. The whole idea of that redemption, as you were reading through it, what connected you with something in your life thinking, um, what this character did, I've got to show other people.
there is a character. There's two lands, and then there's a land that separates these two other lands. One is the kingdom of Laurelayan. One is the mountains of Wise, and on the other side of the mountains of Wise, there's the kingdom of the great King Rapha. And then in between them is the dark forest. And in the dark forest is the beast. And for many years in this story, without giving it all away, the kingdom of men, who was the kingdom of Laurelayan, they had always taken counsel from the great King Rapha in the kingdom of Havania. I didn't give you the name of the kingdom last time. It was Havania. And he had a son named Prince Rohan, and they had always taken counsel with him. Well, there was a king. He came to the throne, and he thought he knew better. So he abandoned the counsel of the great king and the prince in Havania. And I kind of look at myself as I abandoned the counsel of the king and I went my own way. And I'm going to try really hard not to cry right now. I went my own way, and I caused a lot of havoc in my own life. And in the story, he causes a lot of havoc in his kingdom. And in fact, his kingdom is destroyed. So what happened is, I think I was brought to a point where I was really low. And I had to get really low, just like he did in that story, to realize whose counsel I had abandoned and whose ways I had abandoned. So that is what stuck out to me. And then it doesn't stop there, though. In the story, the king, Rafa, and Prince Rohan, they have a way to redeem everything. And so the story takes you through how that happens, and it mirrors the redemption that Christ did when he came to redeem mankind from sin and death. So that is what it means to me, because he has redeemed me, he has restored me, and he's healed me. And so that is how I connect it all.
So, what makes an 18-year-old have that much wisdom?
You know,
You wrote this.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like I said, I grew up in the church. I knew what was right. I knew that abandoning the wisdom of God and the word was wrong. But I think that sometimes we let culture kind of get in our way. And we try to, I think I talked to you this before we went live. We try to mesh culture with truth. And sometimes that really just doesn't work out. And most of the time it doesn't work out. So that's where I was in my life from probably about 21 to 25 on till around 40. I was meshing culture with Christianity, and I was a wise 18-year-old, but unfortunately, just like that king in the story, I abandoned wisdom for folly. So there you have it.
There you have it. On this growth journey, really interesting that the wisdom of yourself as an 18-year-old, I'll say the innocent wisdom, possibly,
Yeah,
right?
definitely
Because
innocent. Yeah, definitely.
you have truth, and when you're built upon a rock, it becomes that simple innocence. And the rules, the black, the white, the division, you just know. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yeah.
And within our journeys of walking in that dark forest that's in between the two kingdoms, there is experiences there that you will never forget.
That's
And
right.
the innocence is replaced with that wisdom. I don't like to think that innocence is stolen or lost. I think it is actually replaced with wisdom, because you know you will never do that again.
You know,
And,
I love that. I've never heard it explained that way, April.
oh,
I've
well,
never heard it explained that way.
thank you. Download right there.
Wow.
As the spirit really just, that idea of replacing, because really we gain. We can sit, we can sit and in a reflection, think about all that we've lost. Really, I know we pine for our past or what we did before, or we wish we never had. And you have your cry about it, but really you're still in that same place, and it's like,
Mhm.
now what? So you see that wisdom, the innocence replaced with the wisdom. And yes, we'll still kind of stumble because we're still within that dark forest, just
Yeah.
using your story, right? We're still within that. We still have to make our journey out, but now we have direction.
Yes.
we have
Yes.
we have motivation, we have a desire to want to leave the forest.
Yes. Yes.
And that is part of that deep wisdom. And again, we will keep stumbling, falling, but if our direction is with helping us to get out of the forest, because you mentioned a time frame, right?
Yes.
25 till like 40. Some people
Mhm.
are like, no, we couldn't be, sorry for that, can't be that dumb for that long. Oh, honey, yes, you can.
Yes, yes, you can. And you can have moments of lucidity where you're not as dumb and then go back to dumb. Yes, you can.
It's so funny because we think in our forced ability to mingle truth, like
Mhm.
you said, with culture, for lack of a better word. It's really that idea. And at the same time, isn't that why Christ came anyway,
Yes,
to redeem us? Because he knew how many
yes.
forests, how many darkness that we'd all kind of stumble in. And
Mhm.
that's why he never abandons us, because he already knows.
He knows. He
He
knew.
just knows. And in our depths, and when we come to our bottom, and when we realize the awakening, the warmth, the things that flood us in, and our ability to try to get out of that forest, and the motivation and the hand holding, and at times him holding us to get out.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
all part, right? It's all part of how life becomes. So taking, without giving away any more of the story, there there must be a part where somebody overcomes this part
Yes.
of the forest, and the ending must show some type of greatness. Now, again, I'm not going to spoil any stories, but in your mind, now with your experience
Mhm.
versus your 18-year-old's experience,
Yeah.
do you feel that the characters know more now than they
Yes.
did all those years ago?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. They do. And without spoiling the story, when you read the end of the story and you see the gift that Prince Rohan gives to the King of Men, you will understand what I mean. So I don't want to spoil it. So
You
yeah.
guys got to get this book. You, book I'm reading here.
But
There's a
he gives the king a gift, and it's a beautiful gift, and it represents to me the bond that we will always have. Romans 8:38 and 39 says nothing can ever separate us from the love of Christ, and that gift represents that bond. No matter what we do, no matter what piece, my pastor says, what piece of stupid we decide to act on, no matter how far, I love that, no matter how far away we go from him, the love of Christ is never separated from us. So that to me, now that I'm here, is what that means.
very true, very true. I see that feeling of real light, and that exchange of of the learns. Now, to ask this question, which is not exactly part of your store of the actual written story,
Mhm.
your experiences of we'll just say stupid. That's
Yeah,
stupid.
yeah.
Would you trade them for anything in the world for what you know now?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Would you trade your experiences for anything of what you know now?
Okay. That has two answers. One, the answer is no, because if I had not walked through those things, I wouldn't be where I am now. The second answer to that is I wish I'd chosen better, so I wouldn't have had to walk through those things. But the reality is, we don't always do that. And that's why he never leaves us and he's always with us, is because he knows we're not always going to do that.
Very true. It is that parental understanding, and I think just this is a personal for myself, and watching my 9 children go through their forests, their dark
Mhm.
forests, and the ups and downs. I know I've had many a closeted time of tears, and
Mhm.
oh, I was probably the worst mom ever,
Mhm.
all
Mhm.
of that. And it's taken a while, but not not too long, but taken a while to think, no, they're learning something there that I could never teach them otherwise.
Yeah.
Now they were anchored in truth, and no matter what they say, as they say there is no God, they've left truth behind, and all of this, there is still light there. And I always say, where there is light, there is hope.
Yeah.
And if you have hope, you can have faith. And with faith, there is action.
Yes.
So the timing and patience as mom to wait, I get to see almost as an observer now, because many of my children are starting to move on and out of the house, as this observational role, allowing a place for them to come home to without judgment
Yeah.
is a huge shift in my way of thinking and ability. Because I always thought, oh, I am not judgmental. What are you doing? Oh, I am not. What are you doing? Yeah,
I get it. Yeah.
forgot about that. So now swallowing those words that just want to fly out and go, wait a minute. How many times has God been with me?
Yeah.
And those
So
little
you were ready to hear it, you know.
yeah,
So you were ready to hear it. He wasn't going to say anything.
right.
I've been blessed to have friends that watched me, if you will, do some of the things that I did. And they still loved me and they stuck with me. And they even tried to tell me the truth, but they always did that with love. And they knew when to say something to me and when I just was not going to hear it. So, and parents too, you're talking about from a parental standpoint. I have some of the best parents in the world. And I love that you watch them from a non-judgmental viewpoint and you let them learn, and you pray for them and you try to give them truth with love, because that is exactly what my parents did. And I love that, because I don't know that I would have arrived where I am now if people had abandoned me and basically told me I was, no good, and why are you doing this? And, just not been very, very loving. So the truth with love thing is a big deal to me, because it's made a difference to me.
Exactly. So if you get anything from part of what redemption is truly loving.
Yeah.
Even though, love, go to your place, vent it out to whatever, get it out of your system, but continue with that love, because as Elizabeth can show you, as I can show you, and probably millions of others can show you, we usually circle back around to
We'll
where.
circle back around. Yeah.
So give us patience and time. We'll get there.
Yes.
That's your
Yes.
Lord, that's right. He's like, boy, it's gonna take. All right, we got it.
I know sometimes he thought he was just up there shaking his head like, my child, my child. So
Right. So that's a really amazing experience. And when we dive in and read different scripture stories and wonder about, we're really fast, like, why did it take him 40 years walking in that? Why? Oh,
I don't think anything about that now, because
right?
it took me. I totally identify with that, because I had to walk through the desert too, because I didn't want to, I didn't want to stick with the truth. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. So just like they did. So I get that.
Right. Wonder why that story's in there. Really, really interesting. Okay, so everybody, let's read this ticker down here on belief. Underneath, The Great Journey, a story of Lorlean, an allegory. And so with this, I hope you guys go out there, take it, check it out. And I have a question for you about maybe the age range of this. I know you wrote it when you were 18. So can be youth? Can it be young adults and beyond?
I would say 13 and above.
Oh, nice. Okay, so pretty good range there. So, hey, teenagers, mom, dad out there, you're probably getting things ready for summertime. It's coming up. What are my kids going to do this summer? Really good read. And another opportunity to think of another, place and understanding of how redemption can happen, and maybe a story like this can help in some preventative
Yeah.
measures,
Yeah.
lessen our stupidity.
Yes. Well, and when I wrote it with teens in mind, teens and young adults, because I'm like, please don't go wandering around in the desert for 15 plus years and in the dark. Just don't do it. It's not worth it.
So true. Right. And that's all part of how we learn. So thank you so much, Elizabeth.
You're
And if
welcome.
you have anything that you would like to share with our audience tonight, this is your time to give your pinpoints, your little piece of beacon of truth to the world. Go for it.
I just want to say, if you are in a place where you're healing and you're trying, Jesus is putting the pieces back together, I just want to say, trust your process and don't rush your process, because this has taken me probably 8 years to put all this together. And I'm the healthiest and the most healed I've ever been. So just trust your process and trust him. Ultimately, trust him to lead you and guide you into all truth, because he is truth. That is who he is. And he is love. So that is what I would share with you guys tonight. He is truth and he is love, and he will lead you into all those things.
Beautifully said. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Everyone, hop out there and grab that book. When we shut this down, we'll put the links down here below, connect you back with the blog. Thank you, everybody, for being here and being supportive tonight. And thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, April. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.